Recently installed a new audio system to a BMW E46 sedan, and I've got this hissing problem, which is quite unique. I tried to read up on the internet what might cause it, but I didn't find anything. I believe you can hear it now. So it doesn't change if I turn my volume up or down. It only changes slightly if I press my brake pedal or if I use turn signals. It changes slightly, but it still is there. However, if I turn on my rear window heater, it stops almost every time. So it feels like every time I load my car's electrical system, it disappears, because the rear window heater uses most of the electricity, or more electricity than anything else on the car. Let's see if you can hear that hissing noise. Yep, it's still there. It might feel constant, but it actually isn't. It jumps up and down. Now let's see, I have a Soundstream amplifier, 4-channel, 800 watt RMS, and I'm using 5 gauge wire for the positive and the negative terminal. It's actually 2 wires that in total are 5 gauge. I have a 2 farad capacitor and a distribution block right here. I hope that the capacitor would even the voltage and reduce or eliminate the hiss, but it did nothing actually. I thought that it was the lack of electricity for the amplifier, but it wasn't. The amplifier is powering 4 Alpine speakers and a subwoofer, but the subwoofer is currently not connected. I have a grounding point right there on that little bolt, and I'm using a distribution block right here just to make it perfectly even, because I'm using a distribution block on the positive side, or the power cables. So in case of any resistance or voltage drops, I'm using exactly the same setup on the ground side too. But that also did nothing, because originally these white wires were directly connected to that bolt right there. All of this is really smooth. I've let's say not polished it, I sanded this metal here, so it's bare metal, no paint. I've also tried to shield the speaker wires from the power line, because I thought that that might introduce some distortion or noise or a hissing sound, as I have right now, but that did nothing. The shielding does not work at all. The speaker wires themselves, they are not picking up any noise, because if the speaker wires are not connected, the speakers are perfectly quiet, so no noise is picked up along the way to the speakers. But another funny thing, if I disconnect the RCAs for the amplifier, this does nothing. The hiss is still there, so I am not picking up any distortion through RCAs. I'm using a ground loop isolator for the RCAs just to test things out, but this does not help at all. So basically, there is no input at all for the amplifier. I only have power, remote and ground, and of course the speaker wires, and the hiss is still there. I tried using 9-volt battery on the remote lead, but that did nothing. The hiss is still there. So it's not the remote wire. I actually out of ideas, and I don't know what could cause it. It's a Soundstream product, and I really hope it's not the amplifier, because I don't have enough money to buy new amplifiers every day, and I don't have the possibility to test things out with another amplifier. But if it was amplifier, I would say the hiss would be constant, or something would be constant and not just bounce up and down every time. The rear window might be cancelling out other noisy systems or things, but I don't know what could be the noisy system or noisy thing here in the trunk. There is almost nothing electrical in here. I also bought a new battery, just to mention, but not because of the hiss, but because I needed one. So it's a flat new battery, not deep cycle. Just to mention, I took some measurements with the multimeter right here, and it measured 0.02 ohms, which is pretty good for the amplifier. It's more than enough. I tried, of course, different grounding locations, like the battery post itself, a little bolt down there, which goes afterwards to the battery, but this even gets worse if I ground it right there. So guys, there is no input, so I'm not getting distortion from the radio or the RCAs. I only have this simple setup, and the hiss, and all 4 speakers still hisses. The subwoofer doesn't make any noise because it's too big. It cannot create this high-pitched sounds. So if you have any ideas, I would appreciate it. Leave a comment or two. Thank you for your attention.